here his emotion teaching. So there's 3 things I'm going to talk about in here. So first of all, I don't think we should be teaching emotions. We should be exploring our bodies and using our body signals as clues to emotions when that's meaningful for a person. We'll talk about that when we get to strategies. Okay, let's talk about emotion labeling first. I was trained to label my clients' emotions. Like if I say, "Oh, you look frustrated right now," that might help them to learn more about how they're feeling. And what we're learning is that's completely unhelpful. When we label another person's emotions, we are at high risk of being wrong. There's the whole, especially when we're talking about like if you have 2 different neurotypes at work here, like maybe you have, I don't know, like an autistic child and a non-autistic therapist. And there's the whole double empathy problem where both parties have really difficult times taking perspective of the other person. So it's very messy. And when we label someone else's emotions, we're at high risk of being wrong. And so if you are an autistic person having your emotions labeled many times a day and your inner experience is repeatedly mislabeled, it can create massive inner confusion and doubt. Like Kelly said, I'm frustrated, but I don't feel frustrated right now. Like maybe I'm the person that's wrong. Like that whole inner doubt sets off. And also when we're emotion labeling, we're essentially like acting or assuming like we are the expert on your internal experience. And it really shuts down curiosity. Like when I say, "Oh, you look frustrated right now," like that's it. Like that is what I think it is. I'm interpreting it and that's it. Like it shuts down my curiosity. Like, could there be something else going on internally? And so really getting away from that emotion labeling, and I'm going to talk in the strategy section about what we can do instead. Again, if you're someone emotion labeling, there's no shame and blame here. I am in that boat. I am still actively working to undo this in my conversations. Like even like with my husband the other day, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that must have made you feel so sad." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm labeling his emotion." Like I was like, "Oh, like what was going on for you?" Like I needed to shift to a place of curiosity. And so I'm really working hard on this. Also, this is something else I was taught to do as a OT 22 years ago. We tend, generalizing here, but we tend to talk about how emotions should feel, like insinuating that emotions feel the same for every person. And we know that that's not true. We know that there's no single footprint of an emotion. So meaning like what you feel like when your body needs food is different than what my body feels like. So if we're teaching the way an emotion should feel, that's first of all based on outdated science. And it can lead to extreme inner confusion if what is being taught is not a match for your own unique experience. So if we're teaching like angry is when your fists are tight and your voice is loud and your skin is hot, and that's not a match for your body, that's going to create a huge amount of confusion over like the word angry, or noting when you're angry, or if you're taught hungry is when you're growling stomach, like that's not true for everyone. So that can lead to a lot of confusion, or teaching like anxiety is a red zone, high arousal feeling. Well, guess not. Guess what? It is not for everyone. Anxiety can cause some people to completely shut down and feel like a low arousal feeling. So it's not the same for everyone. So we really need to embrace that inner diversity that we've been talking about throughout this session. So really teaching the way emotions should feel can lead to a lot of confusing and unreliable body signals. And this is like from one of my current clients right now. She's a teenager, autistic teenager. And so one of the things she told me when I first met her, and she's like, "I never know when I'm hungry." And I'm like, "Okay." So one of the things we've been doing, a lot of interoception exploring. She wanted to learn more about her body. And so one of the things like that she started noticing when we were doing some, like when we were playing and doing some fun things to like notice her body signals more. She was talking about like this lightning, like zappy feeling all over her body. And so we're like, okay, like we're validating that because that's a real, like genuine feeling. She's like, "I don't know what this means for me at first." And so through a lot of coaching and through a lot of pattern finding, like she was taught that hunger should feel like a growling stomach. So never thought that she was experiencing hunger because she was waiting for that growly feeling in her stomach. Well, through all this interoception exploring, she found that that zappy feeling all over her body was the sign her body needed food. It was a sign she was hungry, but she never put two and two together because she was taught the way hunger should feel is a growling stomach. And that wasn't a match for her experience. So it set off this whole cascade for 14 years of her life of thinking that that she wasn't or not knowing like exactly the sign for her unique makeup of hunger. And so it really left a lot of dysregulation, and she was relying on her mom a lot. And there was a lot of power struggle happening. If any of you have teenagers, the mom saying like, "Did you eat?" And like, the mom didn't want to be like nagging. And so there's a whole dynamic there. So now she has a reliable experience for hunger. She knows that body signal in her, that zappy feeling means her body needs food. And that leads her to be able to know what action to take to regulate her body. So her body signal is the zappy, the emotion is hunger, and then the action is eating. And she's able to put all of that body, emotion, action together when we ditched the one size fits all emotion approach.